Good morning and happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. What we typically do here is go over crypto news or news in the space in general. If you're new to the channel, appreciate you for stopping by. I haven't been here in a couple days, but let's get into it. Let's see who's here in the chat, and then we'll dive into the news. Mr. Geek of all trades in the house. Appreciate you, buddy. We have Andrew Masad in the house. Crypto KJ, what's up, man? Chris Hanley, Zarkov, good morning, sir. Let me see. Nerd Beast. Let's see. Sorry, scrolling through here. Gotta get to live chat. We have All Set, Tim I Am Crypto, Zarkov, Dom G. What's up, man? Black Hat Team, All Set, my man. Good to see you. Andrew Masadmud already said that. Good morning. Mining to fill my bags, my favorite name in the house. Good to see you. All right, everybody else I may have missed, I apologize. Let's get into it. Let's see what we're looking like today. Bitcoin 67,868. Honestly, this is still pretty good. This is a nice pullback. It's been kind of floating sideways for a little bit, right? I missed a lot of news, the election stuff, well, not election stuff, but just in general, like presidential BS with Donald Trump going like pro crypto now, which is kind of interesting. So I want to listen to a whole bunch of stuff today. We have a crypto zombie video I want to get to. I want to get to a Solana video from Altcoin Daily. And yeah, we'll just kind of rip through that. If you guys have anything else to point out, please let me know. I have been disconnected for 3 days, so I'm trying to catch up, and it's a lot to take in. So we have Ethereum at 38.20. Ethereum's been holding really well. It was almost at 4K actually on Sunday. I peeped it. No, was it Monday? I think it was yesterday. I mean, Monday. Yeah, not yesterday, Monday. It was at almost 4K, and I got yelled at by the VIP members, told me to disconnect. So yeah, but no, it's been holding really well. I'm actually shocked with the Ethereum ETF news. Casp has been at 14 cents, which is pretty good. We have Litecoin 83 bucks. That's all hanging out pretty good. Pepe looks like it's taking a bit of a pullback today, down 7.38%. That's a big oof. That sucks. Let's see. I'm not into Pepe. I don't know if any of you guys are. Let's see. Chicken wings are going to fly away, maybe. I don't know what you're saying. Danar, what are you talking about? XRP 52 cents. Let's see. We have ETC at 30 bucks, pretty good. Celestia is up to $11.65, 9% up on the day, looking pretty good. All right, let's jump over to Crypto Bubbles. See what we got over here. We have, again, Celestia looks like the winner of the day, 9.7% up. We have, again, Pepe down 7.5%. Floki's down 8.5%, if that matters to anybody. Is anybody into that? Let me know in the chat. WorldCoin up 5.5%. We have not coin. What is this? What is not coin? What is not coin? Does anybody know? This is a mineable coin? Probably not. What is it? Kind of looks like the Gram token, doesn't it? Weird. I don't know. It's 0.8 of a penny. Strange. Down 6.2%. We have Bonk down 5.7%. Sand is up 2.3%. This is the Sandbox, the metaverse coin, 45 cents. Let's see. We have Link up 3.5% today to 1881. Not too bad. Why am I scrolling down? Render's up 4.3%. Nice. Still over 10 bucks. Render's been doing really well, holding over 10 bucks actually. Cats of Crypto. Actually, you know what? Andrew Masad, it's funny you say that in the chat. I actually just noticed that I actually have a price in my Phantom wallet with Cats of Crypto. It's just kind of funny. It's awesome. I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of you guys for actually making that thing happen. So good for you. That's awesome. If you guys don't know, that was a coin created in respect to Mr. Ovalbore Tech. So I think it's amazing, and you guys are great. So let's just keep it going. Keep it going with the good vibes over there. We have AKT up 4% on the day. It's the Akash network. Nothing else really popping out at me. Maybe Shiba up 3.9%, but I don't think that's really a big deal. I really don't think it's a big deal. All right, flashbang. Let's see what we got over here. Fear and Greed index at a 72. Not too bad. It's under 75. You guys know I only really worry about it when it's over 75. So I mean, where Bitcoin's floating around, I think we're looking really good, really strong. It's kind of a good accumulation period right before the next blast off. At least that's what I like to think. All right, trending coins over here. We have, let me just refresh this. MAGA hat. Oh, look at this. We have MAGA hat 31.1% up in the trending tokens, and then we have Super Trump over here up 166%. What is happening? Largest gainers, really? Turbo, I've been seeing some news about this, but this is actually down 23% today. Param That's how you say that. 11 cents, down 26.6 in the trending coins. Interesting. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, Lido Staked Ether, USDC, XRP, Dogecoin, and Toncoin still in 10th place at a $22.595 billion market cap. We have ADA Cardano in 11th place at 46 cents. This actually went up to like 50 cents a couple days ago. I still think Cardano's a sleeping giant, to be honest. I do. Let me see. Over here we have, let's see, max chart again. You guys know I pointed this out before. 2017, 2021. I think Cardano's going to do well. They're kind of creating a lot of stuff in the background, and we actually talked about it on Saturday Night Live before I actually took off. And yeah, I mean, I think pretty much everybody's on the same page. All-time high, 85% down, about $3. I think you're going to get an easy, I don't know, 4 to 6x out of this, is my opinion. So I put a little bit into it. I got about 1,200 bucks in. We'll see what happens. If it 4 or 6x's, I'm happy with that, right? Not breaking the bank with it, but it's definitely worth at least throwing a little bit into. I think it's down right now and it has a good chance. Ethereum Classic, same thing, 30 bucks as of right now. I'm really hoping Ethereum Classic actually they're going through their 5th inning, so I'm hoping that the price appreciation kind of reflects that a little bit. Over here on the max chart, you can see 20 let me see, what are we doing? 2017, we were up to about 40 bucks, 42 bucks or so, 41 something. And then we have 2021 ran up to about 161. Oh, sorry, 167, 81% down. I don't know if Ethereum Classic is going to get that high again, but with the catalyst, the ETF coming, I think it has a good chance, in my opinion. Let's see. If you guys have any questions, please at me in the chat. How can we buy cats of crypto? You can do it through Jupiter swap, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure it's where you can do it. You can actually swap it inside the Phantom wallet. You just put the URL for the Jupiter swap inside Phantom wallet and you can trade it within that. You can just link your wallet and do it that way. That's how I actually added some liquidity to the pool yesterday by selling 2 million tokens, I believe, because I was full transparency. I was airdropped some, so yeah, I did that. Let's see. Yeah, Pellish Miner. Yeah, they were like, there was like no coins able for people to be purchasing, so I had to someone had to give up some, so I tossed some in just to help out the whole thing. All right, let's see what in the hell is going on. I see a new miner. Let's get on to the mining segment of things. You guys know I like to see or I like to kind of go over this timestamp things to see where we're at. We have the Bitmain Antminer KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit making 86.11 a day. We have the Bitmain Antminer KS5 20 terahash unit making $82.01, so 82 even basically. KS5L 12 terahash unit making 45.37. Dragon Ball Miner KS6. What in the hell is this? 11 terahash unit, 38.67. I'm gonna apologize now if this makes a noise. I don't know if it's gonna. All right. Oh, I'm outdated. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if it's outdated. All right, let's see. What is this? What is this? Is this just another company? What's happening here? Looks like the same thing. It's just another is this another company? Just like a knockoff? What is happening here? Is this like Market Basket brand Coke or something? Is that what's happening? 11 terahash unit over here, 38.67. Same thing with the BMKS Max. They're both the same 11 terahash units. We have the Windminer K9 10.3 terahash unit, $38 a day. Let's see. We have the KS. Let me scoot down. Actually, AL box. AL box is actually still holding up, 30 bucks a day. Interesting. 360 gigahash unit, 180 watts, 28, almost $29 a day. What is the lithium looking like? Because I haven't looked at lithium in a while. God, lithium is just still going down, huh? Damn. $1.62. Somebody wake this coin up. What's going on here? What's going on here? I thought they were doing good things. What's happening? Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit making 28 bucks a day. Damn, that's terrible. Bruh. That is terrible. KS3 M 1860. Man, that is so bad. That is so bad. That's really bad. All right, the Antminer L7. You guys know we got this down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them, paying 10 cents kilowatt hour, or 9.5 rather. 13.48. This is the 9050 again. 32.60 for wattage. That is really good still on a 3-year-old unit. super excited about this. This thing's been actually, it's nice to see just store the Dogecoin or HODL, the Dogecoin and the Litecoin for the upcoming bull market. I think it's gonna, both those coins are gonna do very well, at least in my opinion. I really wonder when the when's the L9 supposed to pop out? Do you guys know? Let me know in the chat. That would be awesome if anybody could give me the info on that. The X16Q over here making $4.54 a day. Again, this is after 10 cents per kilowatt hour, but mining ETC and ZIL. It's usually ETHW, so interesting that it's now ETC is the most profitable coin on that unit. Nice. All right, let's scroll down a bit. KS0 Pro, let's see what we're making over here. 200 gigahashes at 100 watts. We get 65 cents a day. Bruh. It's terrible. It's so bad, but you know what? Once I get my new solar setup, I can't wait to get this thing up and running. All right, let's find the S19K. Where are we? How negative are we today? Dude, it is crazy. The S19K, 120 terahashes, making negative 26 cents a day. Payback time is never. With Bitcoin at 67, almost $68,000, I'm still negative on the S19K Pro, paying 10 cents per kilowatt hour. That's rough. All right, moving on to GPUs. Let's see what we got over here. Most profitable coin for GPUs as of right now, which is kind of interesting, actually. Able over here. Able and Ironfish in Pug, this Pug coin. That's a new meme coin. I believe it's Carlson Hash or Carlson Fork, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong on that? Let me know if I'm wrong. I don't think so. Raven coin over here on the 3090 Ti. Conflux and Pyrin on the 3080. Man, this Able coin. What is going on with this Able coin? What is happening? What did I just do? All right, let's see. Able. Let me see what this is at. Up to 27 cents. Oh God, this thing fell off a cliff. From $1.36 to like literally under 20. Oh, that's crazy. Literally lost $1 in price. Why? What does this coin do? It's labeled a thousandth, sorry, on the crypto chart. Interesting. Strange. Oh, didn't mean to do that. All right, let's see. Looks like honestly it's all the way across the board. This Able coin apparently is most profitable. Interesting. Pug, yeah, yeah, Pug, I don't know, whatever this coin is. I have no idea. Let's see. Pug, let's see. Pug Dag. This is a Carlson Hash. Yeah, so it's Carlson Hash Fork, more or less, Carlson. Interesting. Anyway, CPUs still, I assume Zephyrus most profitable on those if anybody's mining that coin. How's Zephyrus doing actually? I know that had a huge pullback, and let's see what we're looking like over here. Down 4.64%. Oh, it took a little bit of a hit again, huh? Was back over to $5 on the 22nd. Interesting. Yeah, it took a little bit of a hit. Yeah, right here was the 18th when it went down to $2.40. It came back to over $6. Man, this coin jumps a lot. That's a high price jump. That's crazy. That's crazy. And it's ranked 1343. Man, you can make some money with these coins, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Not for me. Not that one. All right, let's check out miningpoolstats.stream. Check out the new coins. Pug Dag, again, 10 days old. This thing is, yeah, Peach's Own. Another meme coin. Looks like meme coins are everywhere. What is this? Cobra Dag? Whatever that is. Pyrin Hash Fork. I assume that's a meme coin as well. Interesting. Interesting. Few Bit, Ghost Rider. Few coins here. All right, moving on to the event stuff. Let's see. Equilibrium. What is this? XEQ. Hard fork algo change. Random XEQ. Interesting. 11 hours from now, this is going through the algo change. If anybody cares. 39 hours for Ethereum Classic going through their 5th inning. This is going from 2.56 to 2.048. We have Kyla Coin going through its hard fork algo change to Flex in 55 hours. What's up with all these algo changes? Weird. It's very weird. We have Gold Cash in 16 days going through its halvening. And then we have the Canixum CAU going through a hydro fork. Apparently this is an algo change as well. Just a fancy word for it. I don't know. It says, well, yeah, it says hydro fork here and hard fork here. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know what's happening. Anyways, all right, I'm moving on to the news segment of things because Sick of talking. If you guys have any questions, add me in the chat. Real quick. I don't even know how to say it. Patrick Murphy. Pre-mined 20 point. Oh, nice. It was pre-mined. The Albion. Is that how you say that? I totally just butchered that. I don't know how to say that name. I don't really care. All right. Anyways, Elon Musk plans to build a supercomputer using NVIDIA chips. Let's get into this. See what they got to say over here on Yahoo Finance. Guys, the like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Welcome back. You're watching the Morning Brief brought to you by Invesco. Let's get to some trending tickers that we're watching this morning. NVIDIA shares are moving higher, by 3% this morning after Tesla CEO Elon Musk told investors that his AI startup will be working on building a supercomputer that will power the next version of its AI chatbot. Now, reportedly, the supercomputer would be powered by NVIDIA's AI chips. You're taking a look at shares of NVIDIA higher by about 3.2%. Pre-market here. This would be a huge deal as just another massive order for NVIDIA, but at the same time, it's also a massive deal for xAI. $6 billion in a raise there. It
is, and it kind of goes around the excitement surrounding AI, why so many people on the street when it comes to strategists, when it comes to analysts here covering the technology sector, and specifically some of these chip names very closely, saying that this AI rally still has room to run. When you talk about that growth, talk about the appetite, the investment plans that we're hearing from CEOs, from executives across the board, just in terms of where they are prioritizing their investments, a lot of that having to do with AI. But when it comes to this story specifically, right now we know that xAI has partnered with Oracle for access to data centers and computing chips. And Oracle just recently had signed a new cloud computing infrastructure deal with NVIDIA, saying that it plans to boost capital spending in the next fiscal year. So when you take into account some of the gains that we've seen in those chip makers, AMD, Intel, all moving to the upside here. So again, that excitement surrounding NVIDIA, surrounding the leaders within that space, spilling over now to some of those other large players. Story that we have been talking about now for quite some time. But when it comes to some of those competitors, I guess, not so much closing in on NVIDIA, but also able to participate and capture some of that capital expenditures that we are seeing from larger corporations in terms of their AI investment plans. We are seeing them, some of these other players that you see on your screen there, Intel, Micron, Qualcomm, becoming a bigger part of this AI story. We are seeing that excitement play out within those stocks. And as a result, you're seeing gains almost across the board for a lot of these larger cap chip names.
Maybe why Jensen Huang was so positive in his commentary about Tesla and Elon Musk while they were talking about earnings last
That's
week.
Crazy. Almost $1,100 for NVIDIA stock. That's nuts. Who's into NVIDIA? Let me know in the chat. All right. Best strategy for investors is to stick with what's working, like AI, says Fun Strats Tom Lee. Let's see what he's got to say over here on CNBC television. Let's do it.
NVIDIA and the AI-powered rally showing little sign of slowing today, with the chipmaker hitting an all-time high. The NASDAQ closing above 17,000 for the very first time. NVIDIA is up nearly 20% since its earnings report just last week. And
oh, that's right. NVIDIA's going through their split. That's right. It's like a 10-to-1 split, right? I totally forgot that was happening. When is that happening? Does anybody know? Beginning of this month coming up? Or is it... Yeah, I think it's June 1st, right? Am I wrong? Let me know if I'm wrong. I have no idea.
Check out some of the other names in the chip sector hitting all-time highs today. Micron.
June 6th. Okay. Awesome.
NXP Semi, Qualcomm, and Texas Instruments. So, should investors count on NVIDIA to keep driving the market higher? Joining us now is...
All right. I guess everybody's talking out of their ass. Someone said June 6th, June 7th, and June 10th. I trust Crypto Frank. He said June 7th. All right. We're going with that one. We're just throwing darts to the wall now.
Fun Strats, head of research and CNBC contributor, Tom Lee. Tom, good to see you. So you're still bullish heading into June. You say there's too little investor confidence, too much cash on the sidelines, but it seems to be flowing in now. So how do you invest and not get burned by volatility?
Well, it has been one of those years where, investors have been hesitant all year, and I think we have had some short pullbacks, but I think the best strategy for investors is just really stick with what's working. And what's working is AI-related names, whether it's NVIDIA or highly correlated stocks like Cadence or Supermicro. The Ozempic-related trades, industrials, financials are doing great, and the Bitcoin and the proxies as well as, I think, a growing small-cap stealth rally. So I think there's still a lot of ways to be invested in this market.
The small caps have been hot to the touch, though, not in a good way, especially with yields occasionally spiking. So are there certain areas within small cap that you'd say average into, or how are you treating them compared to the mega caps?
Well, small caps, I think, have been very sensitive to the probabilities of a Fed cut. So I think they're very sensitive to actually when the Fed begins cutting. And, the last few comments from the Fed have actually hurt small caps because the odds of a June cut have been pushed out, and maybe, the odds of a September cut are, diminishing. So I think that weighs on small caps, but it doesn't take away from the fundamental attractiveness of small caps. Earnings growth is close to 19% in the median Russell 2000 stock, and the median PE is 11 times. So you're getting far better earnings growth in the S&P and a much lower PE multiple.
What's incredible about that, Tom, is the fact that we went from, at the beginning of the year, a market that was aggressively pricing in this flurry of rate cuts to now a market where stocks are continuing to move higher as investors digest the possibility, or I guess are hoping for the possibility, that we have a Fed that doesn't raise rates again before the end of the year. That seems to be the thing. That's sort of being taken as the thing. Every time Powell or somebody else comes out and says, oh, we think the peak is in, we don't think we have to raise again. We've really seen an incredible pendulum swing, and it raises the question, how much now hinges on earnings if that's going to be the scenario?
Well, I think that's spot on. First, the number of expected cuts has shrunk, but it's really shrunk for the right reasons. The economy's been good. Inflation is progressing, maybe not the speed anyone would like, but the reality is, 3% or even 2.7% inflation is really good for corporate profits. So I think the earnings outlook actually is far better than most expect. You can see the beats by NVIDIA as an example, but S&P earnings next year, maybe if consensus at 270 something, it might be closer to 280. So you can see why there's upside for stocks.
We just had the S&P close at 5306 today. I believe your year-end target is still 5200. Does it need to come up? How are you thinking about it?
Yeah. Our year-end target is too low because, next year's earnings, if it's 280 and you put a 20 multiple, that's way above 5200. But it's only early June, and I think we're still just deciding whether or not there is a speed bump between June and December. But yeah, I'd say 5200 is too low.
Tom, how do you treat the weight loss and overall health trade epitomized by Lilly? It's up at real highs now, $750 billion market cap, but it's been bouncing around in this range for about 3 months.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of large cap stocks that have been leading show similar patterns of sort of consolidation. And, I think it would be too early for someone to say that, Ozempic and the GLP drugs have peaked. So to us, it's really an opportunity for someone to be accumulating. I don't think it looks that different than NVIDIA into earnings or, many of the stocks that have broken out recently.
U.S. stocks, is that really the place to be right now? Or are you looking abroad as well, especially if you do have an ECB, for example, that's going to cut before the Fed?
Well, it's nice to see other central banks cutting because, from our perspective, inflation probably is tracking better than most expect. But I think the best companies, especially in technology and financials and healthcare, really mostly are in the U.S. So I'd feel a lot more comfortable recommending investors stick with the best companies in the U.S. rather than try to buy something outside the U.S. because of relative valuation.
Alien Black. His eyebrows always bother me. He said, I never noticed he didn't really have any eyebrows.
I'd feel a lot more.
I never even noticed. That's horrible. Anyways, all right. Former FTX executive sentenced and Bitcoin miner riot pursues takeover of Bitfarms. Interesting. Let's see what they got to say over here. More FTX drama. Let's do it.
Today, former FTX executive Ryan Salem is sentenced to 7.5 years in prison. Bitcoin miner Riot Platform
7.5 years? That sucks.
is pursuing a takeover of its rival Bitfarms. And Sergey Nazarov, co-founder of Chainlink Labs, discusses real-world asset tokenization as well as financial and political advancements in crypto.
How do you guys feel about Chainlink? Is anybody holding a lot of Chainlink? Chainlink, I think, is going to do decent.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Brandon Gomez. Major cryptocurrencies in the red after the Memorial Day holiday. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin fell nearly 3% to the $68,000 level.
This was yesterday at noon.
That's after trading above $70,000 just yesterday. Ether slipped more than 2.5% to the $3,800 level on the heels of the SEC approving a rule change late last week, which would allow for the creation of spot ETH ETFs. Analysts are optimistic Wall Street will take up these products. Solana also dropped today, falling more than 1.5% to $168. Bitcoin's move lower this morning comes after CoinDesk reported that defunct crypto exchange Mt. Gox transferred $9 billion worth of Bitcoin to a single address as a possible part of its repayment plans. Mt. Gox, which was once the world's largest Bitcoin trading exchange, went bankrupt back in 2014 after a massive hacking which led to hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin being stolen. Creditors of the Japan-based exchange are still waiting to get repaid billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. The repayment deadline is now October 31st of 2024. Okay, let's talk about the top stories for today. Former FTX executive Ryan Salem was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison after pleading guilty to federal campaign finance and money transmitting crimes last year. The 30-year-old faced a maximum possible sentence of 10 years behind bars for those violations. During his plea, Salem admitted that from the fall of 2021 to November of 2022, he made tens of millions of dollars in political contributions in his own name, when actually the money came from Alameda Research, FTX's sister hedge fund. Salem said that those contributions were made at the behest of former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried. SBF was sentenced to 25 years behind bars back in March. He filed to appeal that sentence. On top of the prison time, Salem was ordered to pay more than $6 million in forfeiture and more than $5 million in restitution. In a statement today, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said that Salem's illegal actions helped FTX grow faster and larger, and that his involvement in 2 serious federal crimes undermined public trust in American elections, as well as the integrity of the financial system. He went on to say that today's sentence, quote, underscores the substantial consequences for such offenses. Next, Riot Platforms is pursuing a takeover of its rival Bitfarms, proposing an acquisition of the Bitcoin miner for $2.30 a share. Riot CEO Jason Les posted on X this morning, writing that Riot had accumulated a 9.25% stake in Bitfarms and made a proposal to its board of directors to acquire the company. Les said the move would create the world's largest publicly traded Bitcoin miner. He went on to write that Riot's proposal was rejected by Bitfarms' board without any serious engagement or dialogue. We reached out to Bitfarms but didn't hear back right away. As of noon Eastern, both Riot and Bitfarms shares were up, with Bitfarms rising more than 10%. Last, American voters increasingly want to support a political candidate who is knowledgeable about crypto. That's according to a Harris poll in partnership with Grayscale Investments. The survey found that more than half of the 1,700 people polled between April 30th and May 2nd are more likely to vote for a candidate who is informed about crypto compared to one who is not.
I heard that yesterday. I forget what I was watching, but I heard this somewhere.
The poll also shows that the vast majority of respondents, 77%, think U.S. presidential candidates should have an informed perspective on crypto and other innovative technologies. Those surveyed are evenly split on which political party is in the lead when it comes to crypto policies and regulation.
See, like, the problem is, like, I want whoever's gonna be the president, like, yes, they should be in tune with crypto and AI and all this stuff, right? But, like, I don't want them to just use that to get numbers, right? To, like, win. Like, that sucks. Like, I hope it's legit and it's not just hey, pick me because I'm saying all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Half think some of their future investment portfolio will include digital assets, and 28% say that the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US has made them more interested in investing in Bitcoin or crypto assets in general. All right, for our main story, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, or DTCC, which is the world's largest securities depository, and Chainlink, a platform connecting existing financial systems to blockchains, collaborated with some of the world's biggest financial institutions on a smart nav pilot, which brings net asset value data on-chain. Crypto World's Talia Kaplan sat down with Sergey Nazarov, co-founder of Chainlink Labs, to discuss the collaboration just before he headed to Austin, Texas, for one of the biggest crypto conferences in the world, Consensus 2024.
DTCC, Chainlink, and 10 major financial institutions, including JP Morgan and Franklin Templeton, collaborated on a pilot program for institutions to bring price and rate data to blockchain, specifically NAV data. So can you take us through how this collaboration all works and what exactly was the goal of this collaboration?
So I think this collaboration shows the trend towards fund tokenization, because this data is a critical part of administering a fund on chain. And so it shows that all of these large institutions, including and the DTCC as well, are going this direction of basically putting more and more parts of a fund on chain. And that is a very important trend because the on-chain format for funds is a superior format in many ways. One way is that it conveys a lot more information to investors. Another way is that it's much more efficient, and therefore the costs of operating funds go down. But generally what this is largely about is going down a path of fund tokenization and kind of doing that in an incremental way where you're putting different parts of the fund on chain. In this case, it was certain key pieces of data, but I think we'll go to subsequent stages that lead to kind of wide-scale, large-scale fund tokenization.
Now, you touched on this, but DTCC released a report this month highlighting some of the benefits, which you mentioned, but some include real-time, more automated data dissemination and built-in access to historical data. What else stood out to you in the report, and how is this different than how the current financial system works?
So in the current financial system, all of that data needs to be emailed across many different groups, and the data only becomes available after days or weeks or months. Here, the data can be in an automated way generated by calculating it pretty much on the spot, and so it can be made available every minute rather than every week or every month, and that's pretty significant when you think about this as valuation data that tells you the value of what you're buying or selling. And then the second thing that's pretty significant is the ability to move all of this data and all of these assets across different chains. So there was a dimension here where the data can also go across different chains through CCIP, the cross-chain interoperability protocol that we work on at Chainlink. And the ability to move this data across chains is very important because all the banks, all the asset managers are basically in the process of launching their own chains. And they're going to want to use tokens and consume data from their own chain environment. But all those different chain environments need to be reliably connected. So that's one of the big things that we also work on.
So what does this collaboration signal to you? Perhaps that there's more mainstream institutional interest in real-world asset tokenization?
Yeah, there was a very large number of big funds in this kind of tokenization and data transmission pilot here with the DTCC, some of the biggest institutions in the world. Many of them have now production chains that they use internally, like JP Morgan has a production chain that they use, and many of them are launching production chains. So I think the trend is clearly towards generating your own blockchain as a bank or an asset manager, putting assets and client accounts and forms of payment on that blockchain, and then exchanging that form of payment or client account money or stablecoin money for different assets on various chains. So basically the world that we're actively now living in, not even going to, but living in, is that all these different institutions are going to have their own chains. They're going to connect those chains, and they're going to execute transactions across those chains. And that's going to depend on the data within those transactions, and it's going to depend on the connection between those chains making the transaction possible, which are both things that Chainlink is heavily involved in across both the public chain DeFi world, where Chainlink is the standard already and powers over 60% of DeFi, and where we are now becoming the standard in the capital markets through work like this.
Now in March, BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, entered the asset tokenization race by creating a new fund on the Ethereum network. So what does that signal to you?
That signals to me that the largest financial institutions see a market in the crypto industry. So the crypto industry, in my opinion, when it crossed 200 billion, got on an inescapable, inevitable trajectory to be a large global market that would continue to grow. It's now at over 2.5 trillion in value, and I personally think it could get to 10 trillion on the basis of consumer and retail and hedge fund demand. And I think that market is what large institutions like BlackRock are interested in with the BITO product. The remaining growth beyond 10 trillion for the crypto industry and the blockchain industry, I think will have to happen through all the value that's locked in traditional financial institutions. And that's where that process of them generating their own chain, putting those assets on chain, will take the crypto industry way past 10 trillion into the hundreds of trillions. So we're still kind of in the early to mid stage of the industry's development, but even at 2.5 trillion, it's big enough to justify the largest asset managers investing resources and building financial products for that market. So I think they're interested in that market, which is a very good sign because that market still has, I think, multiples of growth left.
I want to touch on this because it just recently happened, but the House passed a crypto market structure bill, the Fit for the 21st Century Act. What was your reaction to that, and what do you want to see happen with that bill?
Yeah, so my reaction to that was very positive in a few ways. I think the first thing was the bipartisanship between Republicans and Democrats on this topic, which is not as common. It hasn't been historically as common around our industry. So I think it shows a big shift in the interest level of both parties to move forward cryptocurrency regulation and create clarity about this critical part of the economy that they clearly now see as an important part of the economy because they're discussing it, they're making a bill, they're moving it forward. So I think the bipartisanship around this bill is very, very strong and positive and unique and shows a kind of very big directional shift in terms of how U.S. legislatures approach cryptocurrencies generally. I think it's generally a very good piece of legislation because it seeks to create clarity about what agency is responsible for what type of asset, and it seeks to define the difference between a commodity and a security and what the CFTC's role would be versus the SEC's role, which is a big piece of the clarity that's necessary for more real-world assets, for more tokenized forms of payment to come into existence. So generally, I think it's creating a lot of valuable clarity in and of itself, and I hope it continues to the Senate and then it gets through the whole legislative process. But the fact that you actually have Republicans and Democrats in such a very charged kind of moment in time politically coming together on this topic, I think signals the importance of the blockchain industry, cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology generally, as something that has now reached a different level of importance for the U.S. economy.
But again, is it actually like... are they just saying it to get the votes, or do they actually give a shit? That's kind of where it comes down to.
Also discuss crypto ETFs and how the approval of the products in the US changed crypto sentiment. You can check out the full interview over.
Yeah, they have a full interview over there on their channel, and I was going to play it, but I don't have time today. All right, let's jump into videos. I want to go into Crypto Zombies video. We're going to start a few minutes in because he just kind of talks about some BS at the beginning, but anyways, let's jump into it. He kind of rips into the whole Donald Trump thing and a bunch of other news that I actually missed over the past couple days, so shout out to him for actually putting this all together. It made it way easier for me. And actually, real quick, I was looking at Big Time Mining, used to be Little Time Mining, he actually posted this. Just in, judge orders the SEC to pay $1.8 million in damages for abusing its power against crypto company Debtbox, which is interesting. And then there's like a watcher guru. I don't know if you guys can see that. Crazy, right? I was going to pull it up, but a little bit difficult. All right, let's get into it, guys. Hit that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it. I wonder how true that is, by the way.
Subscribe, definitely consider it. So let's start with this tweet over on Twitter. Speaking of, we have Ollie Chart saying Bitcoin has encountered minimal resistance. The key supply zone to watch is around 70,180 to 70,600, where there were over 450,000 addresses that acquired 273,000 Bitcoin with strong support levels. So the odds are in fact in favor of the bulls. And again, I told you I will go over some key levels to watch, but I'm telling you, price is about to get pretty crazy pretty soon. I would say within the next week, possibly even by this time next week. So obviously, I'm sure you guys have all seen this by now, but Donald Trump has come out very recently. Now, all of a sudden, he's completely pro-crypto. I believe, he's had a lot of different advisors. You have Vivek Ramaswamy, right, as well. He had stopped, he pulled out of the race, but now he's supporting Donald Trump. So I'm thinking he's hearing a lot about, how this sort of could be the future. But if you didn't see this clip, I'll play it real quick, but we got a lot more to talk about.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin.
I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin.
And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
That's hysterical. I don't care if you like him or not. That was a perfect quote.
Also, his post over on Truth Social. I am very positive and open-minded to cryptocurrency companies and all things related to this new and burgeoning industry. Our country must be the leader in the field. There is no second place. Crooked Joe Biden, on the other hand, the worst president in the history of our country, wants it to die a slow and painful death. That will never happen with me. Now, obviously, before we get
it's like almost comical, like everything that happens within this presidential election lately. It's just, oh man, it's literally like a throw and shade fight. That's really all that happens every time.
Into it, you know, I am a very single issue voter, especially when it comes to a lot of these things, so I don't really take sides specifically. In fact, to be honest with you, I don't want to say like I don't care necessarily who wins or who doesn't win. Obviously I do, but I've always sort of just taken things into my own hands, which is kind of a very crypto ethos, a very Bitcoin ethos, which is why, you know, not your keys, not your coins. You know, I've always just held my own self-custody. I don't care about the ETFs. I think the ETFs will help with price, but for me personally, you know, I still hold on self-custody. That's what I believe in. But at the end of the day, guys, you cannot deny that this has shaken a lot of things up recently. In fact, I'm going to get to an interesting poll in just a bit, but even, you know, saying that, you know, he's going to commute the sentence for Ross Ulbricht, that's a possibility. That would be nice for him. And Caitlyn Jenner is also coming out. Make America great again. Yeah, she's all of a sudden super crypto. We cannot rely simply on government-backed currencies, etc. Although, you know, there is this Jenner coin that's kind of been going around. But in all sincerity, I mean, that's, you know, that's
no comment.
That's like tabloid type media stuff. But listen to this survey. So this came from Grayscale, and there were about almost 1,800 people over the age of 18 who are intending to vote in this election, and it highlighted the importance of crypto voters. So listen to what this survey found out. 73% of the individuals believe that the presidential candidates should have an informed perspective on innovative technologies like cryptocurrency and AI, and 1 in 3 U.S. voters said that they would consider a political candidate's position on cryptocurrency before voting. And not to mention, we did have the Fit 21 bill that passed, and that was about 66% that said in favor of yes. So now it's not only we're just seeing it be a Republican thing, you're actually starting to see some of the Democrats who really, the Democratic Party was pretty anti-crypto. I mean, that's kind of what we've been seeing for the past 4 years. And now some of them are even being swayed. So, you know, now you're seeing this sort of younger generation, right? You're seeing the interest of, you know, millennials or Gen Z or younger that are kind of pushing back and being like, hey, you know, you're going to lose these younger votes if you're not actually paying attention. And here's the interesting thing. Now, some people might say, oh, well, you know, it's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. It's a lot of hot air. You know, these politicians, they'll just say whatever to get the vote. Hey, look, I'm not going to deny. Obviously, that happens a lot. And you got to take everything any of these guys say with a grain of salt. However, Donald Trump apparently, this is now, just take this, like I said, with a grain of salt, but is looking to solve America's national debt once reelected. Now, where is this coming from? Well, David Bailey, who is the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, and he's a crypto advisor to Trump's campaign, has actually revealed that when he had first met Trump recently and signed on, Trump apparently asked him if Bitcoin could help tackle the $35 trillion debt. Hint, hint, I mean, at the end of the day, could it potentially? Will it? Probably not, because the Fed is just going to print everything anyway. That's what they do. In fact, stick around, because Jeff Booth is going to go into why it doesn't even make sense, really, to price Bitcoin in dollars. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to the Trump story. So Bailey, who is advising Trump, he said, although at the time, originally, he wasn't ready to discuss that with him, he has since been working with Trump to develop a pro-crypto policy. And if you are interested, you know, this was a very big thing, this Fit 21. This is the first real sort of crypto regulation that we're seeing in the United States. You had Representative French Hill, and, you know, he was kind of making a little bit of a statement on how, you know, we kind of need this.
Well, I'm glad to see President Trump's for innovation in the United States. We want the U.S. to be an a leader in financial technology, just like we have in other forms of technology, particularly as we look at the future of the internet, Web3, and blockchain. He also said that he was not supportive of a U.S. Central bank digital currency, which I think is a good position. I prefer the private sector leading in payments, and that's why we're still working on a payment stablecoin bill that will let the private sector here lead in that manner on a dollar-backed payment stablecoin.
It's interesting just to see even former President Trump change gears on this, because he was a skeptic originally. Were you a skeptic originally too?
Everybody was a skeptic originally. That's a dumb question.
I've always said
Andrew.
that I think blockchain has tremendous ability to take out frictional costs in financial services and other forms of the economy. And I think that the concept of a tokenized payment through a payment stablecoin makes sense inside certain applications on a blockchain. But I am arguing that the U.S. needs the right regulatory framework for digital assets so that venture capitalists, innovators, investors, and consumers can feel like we've got the right regime for innovation in the future of blockchain and Web3 innovation.
I mean, they're even potentially talking about these stable coins now, right? So I think even though I tend to ramble on these videos, if you guys have been watching me, I think you know what you're in for with these type of videos. I just like to share what I'm looking at. But I think the writing is on the wall right here, and all the things that we've been saying for all of these years about how you're not going to stop Bitcoin. You're not going to stop cryptocurrency. It's going to be in everyone's portfolio, and honestly, not even just in their portfolio. It's going to eventually be a part of everyday life. The world is moving digital. If you think about it, Bitcoin is 15 years old. Any child right now, 15 years or younger, is going to be born in a world of Bitcoin. That's all. Literally, Bitcoin will have always existed, right? That's kind of crazy when you think about that. And you're also not just seeing the fact of the ETF drawing in, these institutions or individuals who wouldn't get involved, but it also keeps signaling more and more to these companies like, hey, maybe we should put this on the balance sheet. Maybe it could help us fight inflation. You have NASDAQ listed US giant company announced that it purchased a large amount of Bitcoin. This is American health technology company, Semler Scientific. They purchased 581 Bitcoin for $40 million. So the company stated that it has also started to accept Bitcoin as a reserve asset. I mean, can you imagine back in 2017 when we were originally talking about this stuff, the idea of it, it was just a bunch of hot air, right? It didn't even exist. Like, what's backing it? It's just this fake internet money, and now it's actually backing these reserves as an asset for these businesses. It's pretty incredible. And when you start thinking about the doors that the ETF have opened, and you start in your mind playing out some of these numbers, you realize that these crazy predictions are not as wild as you thought they were originally. For example, just here's a few. And here are some, the catalyst being the ETF. But listen, so according to the Motley Fool data, about 700 professional investment firms, including the likes of Millennium Management, Morgan Stanley, and Bracebridge Capital, own around $5 billion worth of spot Bitcoin ETFs, demonstrating the perceived importance of including Bitcoin in their portfolios. They say if recent studies are anything to go by, the ideal exposure is about 5%, with institutional investors managing nearly $130 trillion in assets. So 5%. And remember, we were just doing this math based on, let's say they allocate 0.5% or 1%. We're seeing these guys come in with 5% now. So if you look at the way these numbers are playing out, Bitcoin's market cap could get above $7 trillion from around 1.35, which would put Bitcoin at around $400,000 per coin. Now, you want to go even higher, right? That's a crazy case as is, but you have ARK Invest suggesting that 5% might actually be too conservative, saying it should be closer to about 19%, in which that case, the market cap would be $25 trillion, and that would put Bitcoin at $1.3 million per coin. So I think, just to summarize what I was trying to say in my previous video, is everyone is trying to catch these meme coins or these altcoins or these next 100 X's or whatever. And I understand Bitcoin's getting expensive, all right, for the average person. But if you believe that there's a possibility that ARK could even be somewhat correct in their $1.3 million assessment, then if you just simply think about buying one Bitcoin, which I know that's a lot of money, but you can always, I don't know, dollar cost average or well, don't do what I did. I mean, I basically let my house go into foreclosure and threw everything into Bitcoin, but that's obviously not a realistic strategy. But my point is there's always
that's a bad idea.
way. There's something you could do. You can work extra, you can sell things,
Definitely
and
don't do
try to
that.
get to that one Bitcoin, because they say, oh, that's not life-changing money. $1.3 million is not life-changing money? I mean, could you live off 1.3 for the rest of your life? I mean, with inflation, I don't know necessarily, but I wouldn't say it's not life-changing. I mean, you could pay off your mortgage. You could probably live for several years. You could invest and start a new business, right? So I don't know. When you think about owning one Bitcoin, a lot of the people that say, oh, like, it's not going to make me enough money, you're not really looking at it the right way. And I will get to Jeff Booth.
Well, most people are like living in the now. Like they want a 2x, 10x, 100x now. You guys don't care about later. And you need to set yourself up for now and later, not just the now, because now is never sustainable. You know what I mean? It's always the long-term plays that will set you up for the rest of your life.
In a minute. But how crazy is it that 11 years ago,
Most of the time,
you had this analyst predicting that Bitcoin could go to $500,000 and be the world reserve currency? So it's pretty interesting when you think about this. And, 11 years ago, imagine how crazy this guy sounded. Doesn't sound so crazy today.
So that's why I think we are right there. We have a long way to go in the growth of Bitcoin. And let's now take a look at some possible future valuations. Global hedge funds, for example, they have around $2.3 trillion under management, a part of which is cash. So we can imagine they might diversify just 1% into Bitcoin. Should that happen, according to my calculations, the Bitcoin price should rise to over $1,000 for one Bitcoin. Argentina, there's about $50 billion worth of paper money circulating, and I do mean dollars, so greenbacks circulating in Argentina. Should the Argentines one day decide, or maybe over time decide, to switch that into Bitcoin, Bitcoin prices would rise to over $2,000 per Bitcoin. Gold bugs, gold is money, but Bitcoin is money too, and it has some interesting characteristics. So maybe in the future, people that own gold today might want to divest just 1% into Bitcoin, in which case we can see prices rise to over $3,500 for a Bitcoin. And then if we've arrived there, I mean, why wouldn't it just keep continuing? I don't see why not, because the more people get involved, the stronger the network becomes, the more entrepreneurs that are there to make things very easy so that even grandmothers can start using it, etc. So let's continue our possible projections. We know that the global shadow economy, for example, has a size of around $15 trillion. This is 2012. If we assume that the volume of Bitcoin today would rise to something equal to that of the shadow economy, so basically the black market would become a Bitcoin-based or a cryptocurrency-based black market. And if I assume then that the Bitcoin price would rise equally so, which we can talk about whether that's a good idea, then Bitcoin prices would rise to around $160,000 for a Bitcoin. Should Bitcoin actually become the new gold? People talk about Bitcoin like gold 2.0, the new gold. They actually use that phrase quite loosely these days. If this really is the case, we know that there's around 155,000 tons of above ground gold. These are the most conservative estimates I could find, the James Turk estimates, and multiply that with the gold price. Total valuation is around $7.2 trillion. So if Bitcoin really does become the new gold, one Bitcoin should be worth around $340,000. I mean, Jesus. Imagine the implication. You own 3 Bitcoins today, and that makes you a millionaire tomorrow. You own 3,000 Bitcoins, and you're on your way to become a billionaire. I mean, so you can...
This guy said this in 2012. You imagine all the people in the audience that like just whatever, like they just kind of threw this like off to the side, like what the hell is this guy talking about? He's talking about nothing. That's crazy to think that he said all this back then.
Of risk-reward ratio we are talking about. And then
wild.
finally, I mean, Bitcoin is the new gold. The black market is using Bitcoin.
God, if I was in the audience, I'd be kicking myself in the ass so hard right now.
Why wouldn't Bitcoin become the new world reserve currency? And then based on, again, the most conservative numbers I could find, what I come up with is a Bitcoin price a little over $500,000 for one Bitcoin. So very exciting indeed.
That's wild.
Again, that's why I think the risk-reward ratio of Bitcoin is extraordinary. Everybody should own just a few Bitcoins, even if it's just a tiny percentage.
So if you guys believe in something like, for example, the Bitcoin power law, you can kind of see how this thing can exponentially get crazy over time. This video has some music that plays over it. I'm not sure if it's copyright, but when you really think about something, for example, like the Lindy effect, the idea that if something has existed for a certain amount of time, the idea that it would exist for that amount of time is, you know, very likely. Also, when you're dealing with these S-curves of technologies, it really doesn't seem insane to think of ourselves potentially, you know, at the sort of bottom to mid area, moving up to the top of that S curve. And if you actually do the Bitcoin power, you know, law like this, then yeah, I mean, 1.3 million, maybe we're not going to get it as soon as ARK says, but a $1 million Bitcoin potentially by the year 2036. So basically,
how many of you guys think that's actually possible by the year 2036? $1 million Bitcoin. Let me know in the chat. I'm just wondering.
In about 12 more years. I don't know, guys. It seems like a pretty good deal to me. So let's hop in. Let's have a look super quick at this TA right here. Obviously, we are, you know, there's a lot of stuff I just keep repeating. It's not much has changed. We're still super.
All right, I'm gonna actually cancel that. I don't want to watch him going over charts and stuff. But shout out to Crypto Zombie. His videos are awesome, and I'm glad he brought that 2012 video up. That was very, very neat. Hyper Bitcoinization, I guess, is the name of it. All right, anyways, Solana crypto, the future will shock you. Let's see what Mr. Austin over here, or maybe this is Aaron, I'm not sure, but let's see what they got to say about Solana. He's interviewing somebody. I'm going to speed this up as well. 1.25, I think. We should do that. Let's do it.
In 10 years, what does the future of Solana look like? Today, I speak to Solana expert and strategy at the Solana Foundation, Austin Federa.
Solana is designed to be the fastest system you can possibly build.
About the future of the 5th largest crypto.
And that's before we look at updates like the Firedancer program, which is aiming to 100x the network from its current capacity.
I ask him about Ethereum, thoughts on the Ethereum ETF. Does Solana need an ETF, or do you see it getting an ETF? About artificial intelligence and Solana, Near protocol.
I think Solana is going to be the next one. And then somebody, that lady, oh man, on CNBC, she talked about Near also.
Seems to be branding themselves as the L1 for AI. How do you feel about that? And what does AI look like for Solana main chain? And watch today's whole video, because I ask Austin the tough questions. Outages on Solana. Why do they happen? Why do they still happen in 2024? There was one. Hit the like button if you appreciate these conversations. And Austin, let's start with your background.
Yeah, I have a pretty non-traditional background for someone who now works for Blockchain Foundation. I originally went to school for political science and environmental science and economics, and then spent the first kind of 2 or 3 years out of school actually working in public media, both at NPR and other member stations in that sort of public media network, and then found myself up in Boston and really got the startup bug. And so I went to work for my first startup, was there about 1.5 years or so, and then moved to New York to join a fintech company. And that company was, I would say, rapidly failing, which I wasn't necessarily aware of when I joined it. But one of their last-ditch efforts, and this was in kind of mid-2017, was to try and build something on blockchain. So they were trying to build a borrow lend token on Ethereum way before anyone really had a mass idea concept of what DeFi might be. That company, ended up failing. It didn't really go anywhere, but that really got me bit with the crypto bug. And so I've been working in blockchain ever since.
And why Solana? Why'd you choose Solana?
Yeah, so I was working at Bison Trails up until their acquisition by Coinbase, and a whole bunch of the work I've been doing at the time was to help the product and platform team on their ETH2 staking infrastructure rollout. This is back when we were just launching the Beacon chain, and the idea was it was going to be a sharded ecosystem of up to 1,000 different shards, all running on the base L1. I just decided joining Coinbase post-acquisition probably wasn't the right thing for me. Coinbase is an incredible company, but I just didn't think it would be right for the kind of next step I wanted to make in my career. And I was talking with a bunch of L2s and other protocols, and I hadn't really talked to anyone at Solana Labs or the Solana Foundation, but 2 guys I used to work with at Republic back in the day actually had joined the Solana Labs team, and they're like, you should go talk to Raj and Anatoly. They're doing some really cool stuff. And I was like, I don't know, we worked with like 20 or 30 different protocols at Bison Trails. I never talked to anyone at Solana.
Is he talking too fast for you guys? It's at 1.25 speed. I can put it down to normal, but then it'll take forever to watch the video.
What's interesting over there, you got to remember, this is the very end of 2020 now. So Solana had been live for about 9 months at that point. And they were like, you should just get on the phone with them. They're super smart people. Like, maybe it's a fit, maybe it's not. And one of the first sort of questions I asked Anatoly was some version of, hey, I've been doing a bunch of work here at Bison Trails on the Ethereum 2 infrastructure support. I don't understand how DeFi is going to work in a sharded ecosystem. Liquidity is all about concentration. How are you going to be able to transact atomically across different shards? And he was like, oh yeah, they're totally wrong. We're building things totally different here on Solana. It's building in one global state machine with all the atomic composability that the original.
Dude, I didn't even know you could do that. You could do a custom speed. Since when? When did YouTube add that? 1.2? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Ethereum design had in it. He's like, I think, the market's going one way. This is not the consensus bet by any means, but this is what we think is right. And my thinking was, I wasn't clairvoyant. I wasn't like, oh, this is going to be the third largest protocol in the world. But I was like, this is a really credible, interesting take on how you can build stuff differently. And at the very least, I will learn a ton working here and working under these folks. And that was, a little over 3.5 years ago. So.
I believe a lot of new people are going to be onboarded into crypto this year, the next 5 years. For somebody who has never heard of Solana, maybe even in relation to Bitcoin and Ethereum, what is Solana?
Yeah, so Solana is a globally decentralized blockchain protocol that's built for mass adoption and scale. And those are two words that I think if you're coming from a Web 2 background, you take for granted. Everything in Web 2 is built for scale. You just throw more AWS credits at it and scale solves itself. That is not the case in blockchain. And so one of the things that I think we found very early working on the Solana project was that a lot of the developers in 2021 and 2022 that were coming over and building on the network, this was their first time building in blockchain. Because they looked around, they said, I know how to build a startup in the Web 2 world where we don't have to worry about resource constraints. We don't have to worry about transaction capacity. And so they found that Solana was actually the best place for them to build because it shared a lot of those characteristics that made the sort of Web 2 enterprises so popular and so easy to build on at the time. And so that was one of the main, I would say, advantages in the early days the network had. Now, fast and scalable is a little bit more of a commodity than it was back in the day. There's several fast blockchains nowadays that all offer, fairly high transaction capacity and, fairly fast finality. But back in 2021, Solana was really the only game in town for that. And so that was where a lot of that original adoption came from. The network's in a very different place today. People choose Solana for a whole slew of technical reasons when they do intense diligence. Like Visa, when they chose Solana last year as sort of the place to scale their USDC pilot, that was entirely based on the merits of the technology stack. But the community now is, probably the second or third largest community in blockchain. And that has become an increasing reason why people decide to build on Solana for the network effect and for the community.
How is Solana different than a Cardano or Polkadot? Because they both have been more scaled than Ethereum. Those were known to be the Ethereum killers, with co-founders of Ethereum starting their own projects.
Yeah.
What's the difference today?
So I don't think Solana really should be considered an Ethereum killer. There's nothing in the Solana architecture that is really setting itself up to kill Ethereum. I mean, for starters, we don't even have EVM compatibility on the network. So if you're trying to kill Ethereum, EVM compatibility would have probably been a good thing to include. Solana really is an execution layer play. It is based on the idea that we need open, competitive markets where every market participant has the same level of access as everyone else. And the thesis really is that's only possible in one global state machine. That is actually fully compatible with the Ethereum and Bitcoin view of the world. If you want Bitcoin as your settlement layer for all of eternity, if you want Ethereum as your settlement layer for all eternity, you can actually still get that, but you should be transacting in the cheapest, fastest, highest throughput market you can. And that is really the value proposition of Solana.
When Solana works, it works, and it is cheap as hell, to be honest.
There's sort of a left curve, right curve, meme going around all the time. And you can think of it as on one extreme, you have, something like Bitcoin, which is pure utility, pure settlement, pure store of value. On the other side, there's something that's, fully executional, like Solana. And, there's a whole middle ground of protocols in the middle that have picked a different point on that curve as to which thing they're optimizing for. But Solana's real design decisions are all focused on execution speed and execution capacity.
If Tim Cook or anybody from Apple comes to you and they say, hey, I really want to know why maybe we should build on Solana versus a Cardano, is it more scalable? Does that hold true?
I'm going to be honest, that's not a question that we are often asked. It is certainly more scalable. Solana today has the highest transaction capacity of any network, and that's before we look at updates like the FireDancer program, which is aiming to 100x the network from its current capacity. The goal of that project over the next 3 years is to hit 1 million transactions per second. That's the goal. We'll see what they actually are able to get to. But FireDancer is on testnet now, and so what we're seeing is this new validator client with this new networking stack put in it. It is extremely performant in these environments. And so what we sometimes people look at Solana and they're sort of like, oh, they've scaled. And it's like, no, this is just the beginning. Scaling is never done. Scaling is a consistent project. It's not a one and done activity.
Fire Dancer is slated to come by the end of this year, I believe. If/when that happens, that 100x in scale you were speaking about, what does that allow you to do, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line?
Yeah, so I think it's important also to note. So Fire Dancer, they're targeting to ship the version. It's called Franken Dancer because there's the networking stack is the main new component that's coming to mainnet. Their goal is to ship that by the end of December. I think that they're very likely to sort of hit that goal. Day one, you will not see a massive spike in transaction capacity on the network because even though all these systems are now built for much higher capacity and throughput, there's other things in the protocol that have to be adjusted. The CU limit, for example, taps out at I think about 80,000 transactions per second with the current CU limit. Now, that's something that can just be raised by a protocol governance vote, but what you'll probably see is a steady increase in transaction capacity over sort of the 6 months after Fire Dancer starts to ship. As we sort of test the limits of what this new version of the network is able to do. And in terms of like what is the scale you need on sort of a multi-year time horizon, what we're really looking at here is trying to build a base layer network that is capable of handling all the world's market information. That's a very lofty multi-year ambition. But what we see is every time there is a step function change in cost or availability, new types of applications get built that we never imagined, right? The 2G iPhone to the 3G iPhone was the difference between, 45 seconds to load a Wikipedia page and Tinder, right? Like that change in bandwidth, that change in response time opened up an entirely new class of products that weren't previously possible before. You couldn't build Uber on 2G internet. You can suddenly build Uber on 3G internet, let alone kind of the stuff we have today. And so, people often ask me, what do we need the scale for? And the answer is, I don't entirely know. I don't think anyone has a concrete vision of this is exactly what we need 1 million TPS to be able to do. The beauty is to give developers access to 1 million TPS and see what crazy things they come up with.
Do you see the New York Stock Exchange, for example, being tokenized on the Solana blockchain?
Yeah, I think those are exactly the type of use cases that this is really getting built out to support. Now, there's this whole bunch of regulatory issues to get through before something like that could happen. But from a technology standpoint, that is the sort of vision of Solana. Right now in the United States, there are several different exchanges, right? The New York, the CME exchange. Those are not integrated exchanges. Those are isolated trading venues that, yes, have lots of piping between them, but the execution is done in these particular environments. Now, you could see a world where suddenly there are central limit order book style exchanges, which there are on Solana, that are handling, equities and commodities and all sorts of different types of asset classes. And a trader in Singapore has no disadvantage compared to a trader in New York. And that is right now, that's not the case. Companies spend tens of millions of dollars a year to have a computer physically located in the stock exchange data center because it's faster and better access. The whole promise of blockchain is universal access anywhere in the world. And so that is really what that long-term vision is can we have a network that can handle the volume of transactions needed to run something like the New York Stock Exchange or 10 New York Stock Exchanges without the sort of location primacy and centralization that comes with the current centralized exchange models.
Austin, I want to throw you a curveball. I'm sure nobody's asked you this in this last week, but thoughts on the Ethereum ETF?
It's awesome to see. Seriously, like the work that the Bitcoin community did over the last 10 years to hammer through and eventually get an ETF approved was huge. The work that the Ethereum community has done to get the first proof of stake ETF approved, it's one of those real
Which is a big deal. Proof of stake ETF. That's weird. It's weird. It makes no sense, to be honest, but it's huge for the space. It is.
Moments for the entire industry to come together around.
Do you think
Solana has to be next?
That precedent just helps in a non-direct way for other.
What Crypto Mikkel in the chat just said, y'all see PayPal's USD, PYUSD just went live on Solana. I did not. Interesting.
App platforms like Solana. And does Solana need an ETF, or do you see it getting an ETF?
I certainly hope so. I have no, inside information on if or when that would be. It's not like, the regulators would talk to us about something like that anyway. They'd be talking directly to the companies that would actually be issuing something like an ETF. But it seems likely to me that this is something we'll start to see a lot more of, that a number of different proof of stake networks are going to be able to get these type of regulated financial products created in this, what seems to be a pretty dramatic change in how the SEC is looking at this stuff. This is great for investors too, right? Like this is a thing I think that people forget is for, folks like us who are Web3 native and are very comfortable with self-custody and hardware wallets. an ETF isn't really that exciting to us. We can already, buy our Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and self-custody and keep ourselves safe. But for most investors, that is just simply not something that they're able or willing to do. They either buy crypto and they hold it on exchanges, and exchanges are great, but every once in a while something like FTX happens. And so if we had had highly regulated ETFs in the United States, the damage from something like an FTX fallout may have been way lower, because the majority of these sort of less sophisticated retail buyers might be buying in something like an ETF vehicle, which has all of the regulatory safeguards and protection as a gold ETF or any other type of exchange traded product has. And so, I think that's a really big unlock for the industry. It's really great for consumer protection as well, and it can actually make it easier for, folks who have retirement accounts to get access to the potential of crypto.
What has changed for Solana in 2024, specifically ecosystem-wise? Like, what's being built? What are you excited about?
So much. So I'll say that, this has been sort of one of those like intense growth years for the network. So a huge amount has changed in the underlying network technology stack, and that has unlocked a lot of different types of use cases as well. So some of this was the end of 2023, but Jito and Jupiter really coming out on the scene. That's been really a big moment for the network, where folks are able to see the trading performance of a network like Solana, being able to go there with Jupiter and Phoenix and all these other DeFi products. I've been really interested in looking at the work that Helium has been doing in terms of building, a cell phone network, but as a decentralized physical infrastructure network. I think they just flipped over where now more than 50% of the data that's being used on the Helium network is actually being served by Helium hotspots as opposed to their fallback telecommunications partners. So that's really exciting to see. And sort of the work on meme coins obviously has been one of the big things that I think has taken the internet by storm in terms of Solana meme coin activity. So, it's really great to see communities galvanizing around meme coins and kind of having fun in blockchain again.
See this from Paxos over here on Twitter. PayPal USD is now on Solana. Look at that. And that was posted a few minutes ago. Awesome.
Something that wasn't on my 2024 crypto bingo sheet was obviously meme coins blew up on the Solana ecosystem. But what I saw is that every other major L1 ecosystem then started. They were proud of their meme coins. They wanted to talk about the community being built on there. Did that surprise you?
I mean, there is this thing in crypto where there's a lot of narrative chasing. So whatever happens on one network, someone sort of says me too and tries to do it somewhere else as well. That's always been a part of crypto, right? We had this with all the Uniswap clones back in 21 and 20 that popped up, and so all the meme coin clones that have popped up. It feels reminiscent of that. But meme coins are great for networks. I mean, they are a very low cost stress test of a bunch of components that you've maybe never had a chance to stress test before. Of work token on Solana. Who would do that? Why would they do that? Well, it helped optimize the network for a bunch of different types of use cases now. So, memes are really communities in early formation, and the meme coins that are successful, and it's a very few percentage of them, but it's a few of them, they graduate into maybe a whole new status. Maybe we should call things like Doge and Bonk and Shiba and even Bitcoin, community tokens. They're no longer meme tokens. They've sort of hit escape velocity, for lack of a better term.
No. They're still meme tokens. All right, anyways, let's look at this real quick. PayPal makes retail stablecoin play with PYUSD on Solana. The asset comes with token extensions that give it compliance superpowers. Interesting. Payment giant PayPal's PYPL stablecoin, PYUSD, is coming to Solana almost a year after first debuting on the Ethereum blockchain. The launch could bring in new interest to a modestly sized crypto asset that hasn't caught fire despite its name brand backing. PYUSD has around 8,600 holders on the Ethereum blockchain and a market cap of a tick under 400 million. A tick under 400 million. Interesting. Tiny compared to the largest of its competitors from Circle and Tether crypto native firms. Interesting. That's pretty cool, though. That's pretty neat. It's a big deal today at 9 o'clock. Interesting.
Do you see the US government adopting the Solana blockchain? And if yes, what ways could they do that?
We're going to go until this point right here. I want to hear what he says about Solana.
I think it's too early to
surpassing Ethereum.
Say, would a government in the United States adopt any specific type of blockchain technology? I mean, we've seen California have some experiments with a closed fork of Tezos for, I think it's their driver's license registry or motor vehicle registry, which is really exciting to see. What I'll say is, when we have conversations with folks in DC or folks who are talking to folks in DC, government is very interested in blockchain. They're starting to understand that US dollar stablecoins are really an important part of maintaining US dollar dominance over the international international landscape. And if we don't make it easy for people to be able to send money and businesses to be able to send money anywhere in the world, in 1 second of finality or less for a fraction of a penny, we're going to lose out to other countries that are building those type of technologies. Now, I don't think a central bank digital currency is maybe the way it's going to get done in the United States, but if we have good stablecoin legislation that would basically have the ability to have a stablecoin treated as good as cash with the same securities that you'd get on a money market fund or any other type of good as cash product, this could be a really big unlock for the U.S. economy. And I think folks in D.C. are really finally starting to take notice of this, especially as we're seeing more trade competition heat up internationally. I mean, T+1 settlement, or even the 8 hours it takes a wire transfer to clear, that's a meaningful amount of time for many businesses.
Like you said earlier, Solana is not an Ethereum killer. You guys are growing together. Different people are adopting you. The cream is rising to the top in the crypto space in general as the space grows. But no denying, Solana ecosystem is killing it. Do you see Solana surpassing Ethereum?
I think we have to define what surpassing means.
In market cap.
Who knows? I think if I could make accurate predictions on crypto prices, I would have a yacht by now. But what I'll say is, like, the Solana ecosystem has been growing tremendously, as you said. There's no signs of that slowing down. That being said, Solana does not need to flip the market cap of Ethereum for Solana to be an incredibly vibrant, productive, and incredible network that has, the highest users of any blockchain. The pie is truly big enough for all of us, and the pie is also, I will remind folks, tiny today. A very small fraction of the world has used blockchain or transacts on blockchain every week. There's so much growth left for this industry as a whole. I am not focused at the Solana Foundation are not focused on sort of the relative position in the charts of these things. It really is about the long-term technology vision and doing what we can to move towards a future where more things are powered by blockchain.
I love that. All
right, I'm going to let you guys finish that one on your own. We're going to just kind of recap things and see what we're looking like over here in the market. All right, Bitcoin, $67,741. Shout out to Austin and Altcoin Daily for that video, by the way. Ethereum, $37.94. Everything is having a little bit of a pullback, but you know what? To be honest, we're still floating sideways for the most part, actually, with pretty much everything. Caspa, just under 14 cents at 13.8. They should be... Actually, the KRC20 tokens are already out, aren't they? They already had a couple meme coins on there, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the Rust protocol is going through, or it is already gone through. I'm not sure. Let me know if you guys know in the chat. I, again, disconnected for 3 days, so I've missed quite a bit. Let's see. Celestia, again, is up on the day, 6.67% to $11.67, if anybody's into that. Near is one of those ones that we've been hearing a little bit about. So after the Ethereum ETF, there was some lady, I forget the lady's name, and I don't even know who she works for. But she was talking about the Ethereum ETF and then said Solana and Near, she said, are probably going to be the next two. And that's kind of interesting to think, right? Let's see what Near is looking like. Near protocol, $7.67 as of right now. Let's go to the max chart quick. Near's been around since 2020, I guess. But it had a decent run up there in 2021. So like after the bull run. No, I guess 2021 bull run. Yeah, 2021 bull run ran up to about 20 bucks. What do you guys think Near's gonna do? You think it's gonna do well this run? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Think it's gonna do well though? I think it's looking pretty good. October 23, it was only $1. Damn, we're $7.71 right now. Are you guys invested into this? Let me know. It's on the Ethereum network. It's not a main chain, so you can add this to pretty much any wallet you guys have. You did, Fully Electric. You told me about it back in February, right about here-ish. Right about here. I think this was before we were allowed to swap through Tangem. And if I was able to swap through Tangem back then, I'm an idiot for not getting into it. Fully Electric, I need to listen to you more. Because you're definitely on top of your stuff when it comes to that. But Near Protocol, this is one of the coins that I need to kind of just get into it a bit more and read up about it. It's got an $8 billion market cap. It's ranked 19th on the list of top coins. So it's in top 20, which is crazy. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. It's just weird that they wouldn't pick that. I don't know. There wouldn't be like any ETFs of anything else other than that. Like, why would she choose Solana and then say Near? Does it really have the biggest upside potential or the biggest ETF potential? What do you guys think? Interesting. Near has some good on-chain specs. Nice. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Literally anything. I've never looked into it. So I should probably do that today, actually. I'll try to read up on it a little bit. Ton coin. Wait, what in the hell? What is happening? Is Ton in 12th right now? Cardano's back in 10th? What just happened? Do I have to go back to the beginning of the stream? I swear on my life that this was not the case at the beginning of the stream. Was this the case at the beginning of the stream? Please tell me I'm not like losing my mind. Hold on. I need to look now. I need to look. Yeah, Ton was in 10th. What in the hell? We lost a bit? Interesting. All right, well, Cardano's in 10th now. $16 billion market cap. Crazy. Huh. I literally thought I was just like smoking the good stuff. I was confused. All right, anyways, this is pretty awesome. Interesting. I think Cardano deserves to be in 10th spot, to be honest. But again, if price doesn't reflect, then it is what it is. 45 cents. I think it's a sleeping giant. You guys do what you want. Anyways, guys, listen, we're going to go raid Miss Randy Hipper. I've been going long enough. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. Sorry for my off day, just getting back from a 3-day vacation. So what we're going to do is get back on track for tomorrow. So I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got to catch up on a whole bunch of stuff. You guys have a great, fantastic day. Let's go raid Miss Randy Hipper, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out and have a good day.
Perfect.
Eat shit, Gary.